Macbeth is introduced as a play about evil, potential of evil, temptations of evil, and actualization of evil. It, it is also about human desire and its accomplished part that is actually linked with evil. So, temptation and evil and desire and evil are significant focus of this play, Macbeth. Macbeth is thought the best Shakespearean tragedy in terms of evoking imagery. Imagery of this play that can be seen through central image of misty, foggy weather, confused, fog-like conversation of witches and generally known as gray area. That gray, you can say, absence of black and white division, that is the image, central image that sets the mood of this play. That's fair is foul, foul is fair. So वो तकसीम जो गलत और सही की, नेकी और बदी की, हम आम तौर पर एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट कॉन्सेप्ट में देखते हैं, उसकी बजाय उसकी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड साइड मैकबथ प्ले में हमारे सामने आ, और वो कॉम्प्लिकेशन जो है वो ह्यूमन अट्रैक्शन टुवर्ड्स इवल, फोर्स ऑफ टेम्पटेशन और डिजायर के साथ लिंक। हम समझ सकते हैं कि इंसान जो है वो डिजायर के बगैर दुनिया में सरवाइव नहीं करता। फ्रॉम बर्थ टू डेथ वी कैन से ह्यूमन लाइफ इज associated with desire, and that desire in terms of socio-political aspirations, that is called ambition. Ambition is an extension of human desire. So desire is basic, you can say, emotion, basic trait of human life, and ambition is its socio-political dimension. And ambition, you can say, is in conflict with or may in conflict with moral principle of life. When ambition is in conflict with moral principle of life, it gives birth to a state of confusion, a state of, you can say, blur, gray, where something is vague. We can see the human beings have been and still they do compromise on morality. And that compromise is for their accomplishment of desires, for their worldly attainments. Typical Machiavellian approach and justifies means. So to attain their ends, to attain their goals, they may adopt a way that is not morally approved. Moral can be religious, Christian, or it can be or it can be secular. This play shows ambition of the protagonist, Macbeth, ambition of his wife, and how he becomes the king. It's also about the pangs and pain of the person who attains his ambition, but he remains restless. Before I introduce this play, there are three significant, you can say, references which are attached with this play. First is uh, history and drama. Unlike other three tragedies we have discussed, Othello based on Cynthia's tale, King Lear based on an English legend, and Hamlet based on Danish legend are unverifiable accounts of Danish history. Macbeth is, you can say, historically proved figure that can be seen in 11th century Scotland. In reality, Macbeth became a king in, I think, 1037, and more than 20 years he remained a king. He actually murdered his cousin, a distant cousin, king of the time, King Duncan, in the battlefield, and then he became a king and ruled for more than 2 decades. But Shakespearean Macbeth, he rules for a very short period and he never rules successfully. Every hour of his kingship is full of trouble, the agony of conscience, and you can say chaos in state. That in state, chaos in society can also be read in typical Shakespearean idea of order and chaos, and Shakespearean concept of natural order, social order, and political order are interlinked. That's the first aspect of the play. The difference between historical account of Macbeth and its dramatic representation through Shakespeare's Macbeth. If you have read an essay in your BA English course, those who have done 2 years degree program, there is an essay host and guest. Max Beerbohm is the writer, and in that essay, uh, there is a reference to, you can say, a bad host or evil host, and Shakespearean Macbeth have been mentioned here. In the same essay, the writer mentions that the Scottish people are ashamed of a character like Shakespearean Macbeth, who is, you can see, a stigma for host. But that, you can say, aspect is, you can say, thoroughly a dramatic episode. In reality, it didn't exist. I have just mentioned Macbeth actually killed his King Duncan in battlefield. Second aspect of this play is Shakespeare wrote this play to appease King James I. King James I is thought a, you can say, a significant character in British history, not only for his, you can say, grand initiative of the union of England, Scotland, and Wales to make a new political or territorial entity that is called Britain. अगरचे ये सियासी तौर पर एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है जो किंग जेम्स ने उठाया था, तो किंग जेम्स का ये कदम अपनी जगह पर बहुत ज्यादा अहमियत का हामिल है. बट बिसाइड्स दिस, किंग जेम्स इज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड एज स्कॉलर किंग. So what was, you can say, the aspiration in Hamlet character in Shakespeare's play Hamlet, that can be seen, you can say, in true reflections on English throne in persona of King James I. So King James, everyone knows in English history, is known for his Bible. King James Bible is the most authentic version of English Bible, या जिसे आप क्रिश्चियन बाइबल भी कह सकते हैं, जिसमें ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट न्यू टेस्टामेंट दोनों मौजूद हैं. इस बाइबल का सबसे अथेंटिक वर्जन वो है जिसको किंग जेम्स ने अथेंटिकेट किया था, दैट इज अस्क्राइब टू किंग जेम्स I. Definitely in English history we read that John Wycliffe was the first English translator of Bible, but the version of Bible that was authenticated with the, you can say, power of the king, and it replaced Vulgate, the Latin version of Bible, that's King James I. Second, King James is known for another work that is called Demonology. Actually, that's the spelling which was actually used in his work. Modern spelling are, you can say, a bit different. So, James, who was Protestant by birth, and he was the sixth king of Scotland, when he actually, in addition, he became king of England as well. So he is King James I in England, but King James VI in Scotland. And Scottish population was predominantly Protestant or Anglican Protestant, we can say. So James, as a Protestant, as an author of demonology, did not believe in the existence of witches. क्योंकि प्रोटेस्टेंट इस पर बिलीव नहीं करते कि ये जीन भूत चीजें, ये चीजें होती. So he was also skeptic of their existence. He made this account. But there is the famous dream of King James first, and that dream is about witches, and that dream actually caused a debate in his court, and that was a debate about the existence of witches. Philosophers, theologians try to satisfy the king, and we can say the dramatist Shakespeare also played a part by writing this play that is called Macbeth. Another idea is, or the last idea is, King James, who came into power in 1603 after the death of Queen Elizabeth I, he faced After a short while, just after 2 years, famous uh, Gay Fawkes or gunpowder plot. That was a Jesuit, a Catholic actually, Jesuit revolt against the Protestant king. So we can say whatever threads they were seen in dream of witches, they were seen in concrete, tangible form of gunpowder plot. So king was very much concerned about it. And that's the context in which that play Macbeth was written. These are characters of this play. Macbeth, who is the Thane of Glamis, and later on he becomes the Thane of Cawdor as well, besides a military general. He was a general in, I have mentioned, in 11th century actually, in army of King Duncan. He was a distant relatives, cousin of that royal family of Duncan. Thane. Thane is a rank that is higher than Earl and lower than Duke. That does not exist in British history, sorry, English history, but it exists in Scottish history. तो स्कॉटलैंड में थेन का ओहदा था, इंग्लैंड में नहीं था, इसलिए इंग्लिश प्लेस में जब आप पढ़ते हैं तो बहुत कम आपको थेन का टाइटल जो है वो मिलता है. मैकबथ वाज थेन ऑफ ग्लैमिस, but in play we see when Thane of Cawdor made a treachery and supported the king of Norway against his own king Duncan, Thane of Cawdor was arrested and Macbeth was given the second thaneship and he became Thane of Cawdor. Lady Macbeth is his wife. Duncan is king of Scotland. He has two sons, Malcolm, Donalbain. There are different Thanes like Thane of Ross, Thane of Lennox, Thane of Angus, and Thane of Caithness. These are the noblemen in this play. They are nobilities of Scotland, and Thane of Ross is a highly significant character of this play. In modern days, there are researches which are being carried on his role in this play. Banquo, also you can see a high rank soldier, a friend of Macbeth, who is also a witness of Macbeth's encounter with witches. Fleance is his son, and he has also a wife. Thane of Fife, his name is Macduff. Macduff is the most important character of this play. Towards the end of the play, he will kill Macbeth. Macduff is Thane of Fife. His wife, Lady Macduff, and son are murdered by hired killers on behalf of Macbeth. There are characters like physician, doctor, porter, Satan, who is a man in service, hired killers, murderers, servants. Seward Senior and Junior, they are the British soldiers. Seward is actually military general of England. There are three witches, and there is the character of Hake, so not actually goddess, but so powerful as a goddess of witchcraft is. Macbeth is based on the career of Scottish King Macbeth. The Actual Macbeth lived from 1005 to 1057 and reigned from approximately 1039 to 1057. That was the time which I was referring. We can say that's about 16 year, sorry, uh, 18 year that he ruled. At that time in Scotland, it was not a horrific crime to take the throne away from a weak royal relative. In fact, in 11th century Scotland, the overthrow of a king was a common occurrence. So historically, account is different, but dramatic version of that account is linked with the concept of human conscience and committing an evil. As far as the historian can tell, the actual Macbeth took the throne away from his ineffective cousin, King Duncan, in approximately 1031. As a grandson of King Malcolm II, Macbeth did have a claim to the throne of Scotland. So, being a distant relative, he could claim, but he was not direct successor of that throne. King Macbeth gained the throne by a civil war rather than murder. कीप इन माइंड मैंने अभी शुरू में ही बताया था कि ये मैदान जंग में जो है वो तख्त जीता गया है और पब्लिकली इसको सपोर्ट किया गया है। तो दो जो वाकयात थे, एक तो वाकई मैदान जंग में ऐसा करना और दूसरा उस वक्त कई बार हो चुका था। ये कोई नया अनोखा वाकया नहीं था कि किसी रिश्तेदार ने जो है वो अपने रिश्तेदार से बादशाहत छीन ली। ये जो 10th सेंचुरी और 11th सेंचुरी के बहुत सारे जो वाकयात हैं वो ऐसे हुए। There is no historical evidence that Banco existed. बैंकों की वैसे जो एग्जिस्टेंस है उसके हवाले से हिस्टोरियन डिवाइडेड है। एक स्कूल ऑफ थॉट का ये मानना है कि ये जो किंग जेम्स सिक्स था, ये खुद बैंकों की ही जनरेशन में से जो है वो एक किंग था और अभी भी इसको बिलीव किया जाता है और एक जिनियालॉजी जो है ड्रा की जाती है। हमारे इधर पाकिस्तान में तो जिनियालॉजी को पता नहीं क्या हरफ आखिर समझते हैं। हर सैयद जो है वो एक शजरा नसब पेश करता है, तो उसको जो है वो लोग बड़ी अकीदत की नजर से देखते हैं। बट जीनियालॉजीज आर आल्सो चैलेंज्ड इन द वर्ल्ड। सो जीनियालॉजी ऑफ Benko and Benko's you can say descendants, that is also challenged। और एक ओवरवेलमिंग व्यू यही है जो यहाँ मेंशन किया गया है कि हिस्टोरिकल एविडेंस is poor that Benko existed। Also, the historical King Duncan was close in age to Macbeth, but Shakespeare altered the account to make King Duncan much older। तो वहां तो वो तकरीबन हम उम्र थे और रियलिटी में, लेकिन यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि डंकन जो है वो बड़ी उम्र का है और लेडी मैकबथ को उसमें अपने बाप की झलक दिखती है। The historical Macbeth ruled Scotland with wisdom and grace for 15 peaceful years. His rule came to an end when the exiled Prince Malcolm invaded Scotland with English forces. But no peace and calm in Macbeth Kingdom is seen in this play by Macbeth। That's the plot of this play। On a heath in the Scottish countryside, the three witches prepare for Macbeth's arrival। Macbeth and Banquo are greeted by the witches who proclaim that Macbeth is hailed as Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, and King hereafter। They also proclaim that Banquo will be a father of kings, but not a king himself। Yes, Sumera। Hello. Actually, context is Macbeth was in, you can say, border town. That's the region of Thane of Cawdor. And on a border, he was defending Scotland against Norwegian invasion. There was a war. In that war, Macbeth fought courageously, valiantly against the Norwegians and protected the throne of Duncan. There was the treachery of Thane of Cawdor. He also arrested him and penalized him. That was the end of war when the play begins. जंग के खात्मे के बाद ये प्ले शुरू होता है और इसके पहले सीन में हम देखते हैं कि विचेस आती हैं और वो मिस्टीरियस फुल ऑफ सस्पेंस जो है कुछ जार्गन्स जो है वो क्लेम करती हैं एंड दे हैव रिफ्रेन रिपीटेड यू कैन से लाइन fear is foul, foul is fair. They share their intention to meet General Macbeth. In the next scene, we see that Macbeth and Banquo they are wandering about because they have nothing to do. काम तो खत्म हो चुका है, जंग जीत चुके हैं, तो ऐसे टाइम पास कर रहे हैं. एंड दैट्स फोगी मिस्टी डे. मौसम भी अच्छा नहीं है, ज़ाहिर है कि इस अच्छा मौसम में मूड भी अच्छा नहीं. एंड both are spending their time. In next scene, we see actually king in the court. And king in the court, he listens to a messenger who reports what happened actually in war front and the account of Macbeth's chivalry and bravery. King is much pleased. He declares that Macbeth will be new Thane of Cawdor. चूंकि कोई और पूरी किंगडम में डबल थेनशिप किसी के पास नहीं. सारे जो थेन है वो अपने अपने इलाकों के थेन है. तो मैकबथ इज थेन ऑफ ग्लैमिस एंड थेन ऑफ गॉड. सबके ज़हन में ये कंफ्यूजन आ सकती थी कि हु विल बी सक्सेसर टू थ्रोन, क्योंकि किंग का अपना बेटा भी सिर्फ एक ही जगह का थेन. सो किंग सेज दैट सक्सेसर विल बी हिज एल्डेस्ट सन मेल्कम. तो किंग किसी कोई कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट नहीं करता, बल्कि क्लियरली बता देता है कि उसका बड़ा बेटा मेल्कम ही तख्त का वारिस है. एंड रोस इज अपॉइंटेड टू शेयर दिस न्यूज विद मैकबथ. यानी रोस जो है वो कोर्ट से जाएगा, बादशाह के कोर्ट से, और जाके एक बॉर्डर पे जहां मैकबथ और बैंको मौजूद हैं उनको वो खबर शेयर करें. इससे पहले कि रोस उन तक पहुंचता है, मैकबथ एंड बैंको आर ग्रीटेड बाय द विचेस. वो ऐसे ही आवारा फिर रहे थे कि सामने जो विचेस आ जाती हैं. एंड विचेस हेल मैकबथ एज थेन ऑफ ग्लैमिस, सेकंड थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर. थेन ऑफ ग्लैमिस तो वो है, थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर उसके ख्याल में वो नहीं है, जबकि रियलिटी ये है कि उससे पहले ही थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर अपॉइंट किया जा चुका है. दैट्स द न्यूज which he has not yet received, but decision has been made. And when he An ambitious man like Macbeth who wants to be a king, when he hears it, he is pleased. And the third, which also hails him as Macbeth the king. Macbeth feels that as his secret has been revealed, ये उसके मन की बात थी, दूसरों को कैसे पता चल गई, विचिस को कैसे पता चली. And at that moment, Macbeth is suspecting them. Macbeth calls them weird sisters, false imposters, liars. That was not Macbeth who asked the witches about this prophecy. These were the witches who hailed Macbeth and shared that prophecy. At the end of prophecy, Banquo, you can say the friend of Macbeth, asked the witches about him. कि चलो ये तो king बनेगा, मेरा क्या बनेगा? And the witches made another prophecy, not a king, but father of kings. कि वो खुद बादशाह नहीं बनेगा, but in his line there will be kings. Macbeth and Banquo curse them कि झूठी हैं, बकवास करती हैं. It's not possible. But the very moment Angus and Rose greet Macbeth as Thane of God as a reward for his military success, उसी लम्हे थेन ऑफ एंगस और थेन ऑफ रॉस आके मैकबथ को थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर कहते हैं, जो चंद सेकंड पहले विचिस ने कहा था. तो मैकबथ को ये लगता है कि विचिस की एक प्रोफेसी जो है वो फौरन ही पूरी हो. अगर एक पूरी हो सकती है तो बाकी भी पूरी हो सकती है. नो, ही गेट्स सीरियस अबाउट हिज ambition of being king of Scotland. No, Macbeth wonders whether Witch's prophecy is good or bad and whether he really has the chance to be king of Scotland. Uh, I have already explained what actually happened in this part. King tells Macbeth that he plans to spend that night at Macbeth's castle. That's also another honor that as soon as Macbeth returns to his home, King will honor him as a guest. किंग तो किसी के घर में नहीं ठहरता, लेकिन मैकबथ के कासल में एज अ किंग, एज अ गेस्ट, ही विल ऑनर हिम. मैकबथ ponders the fact that Malcolm no stands in his way to the throne of Scotland. मैल्कम को अब जब मैकबथ को थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर कह के ग्रीट किया गया तो उसने ये भी पूछा था कि सक्सेसर कौन है. उसका ख्याल था शायद किंग ने उसे बना दिया हो. But when it was revealed that successor is Malcolm, now he is thinking that Malcolm is a hurdle in his way. So he thinks that he will have to take a step. जैसे थेन ऑफ कॉर्डर को उसने उसकी ट्रेचरी एक्सपोज करके उसको अरेस्ट करके अपने रास्ते से हटाया है और उसको डबल थेनशिप मिली है, so he can take a step and that step will lead him to be a king. In next scene, there is entry of Lady Macbeth. तो अभी इस मीटिंग का चूंकि टाइम फर्स्ट मीटिंग का खत्म हो रहा है, तो आपने फौरन ही सेकंड जो मीटिंग है